Yeah, yeah, and, yeah. Well, we got 10. Good enough. Believe it or not, we get a go light. I don't know why. Yeah, the light.
Maybe it's not working. Yeah, I think it's time to go.
All right. I will call the meeting of the City Council to order. Good evening. We have passed the hour of 7, and I will call this regular meeting to order. This meeting is being broadcast live on the City of Keens YouTube channel and Spectrum Channel 1302. The video is also streamed on the city's website and is posted by the end of the next business day, barring any technical difficulties. If you would like to receive an electronic City Council packet to reference while viewing future broadcasts, please contact the City Clerk's office during regular business hours or go to the city's website and subscribe to the city meetings email list. The agenda is also accessible from any mobile device. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Kate M. Bosley, Laura E. Tobin,
Here.
Michael J. Remy, Randy L. Filio.
Here.
Robert C. Williams.
Here.
Edward J. Haas.
Here.
Philip M. Jones.
Present.
Andrew M. Madison. Chris E. Roberts. Jacob R. Favalise.
Here.
Brian J. Lake.
Here.
Catherine I. Workman.
Here.
Bettina A. Chadbourne. Thomas F. Powers.
Here.
Mitchell H. Greenwald.
Here.
We are 10. We have a quorum, and I'd like to recognize Councilor Tobin to lead us in a Pledge of Allegiance. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Some announcements this evening. I'd like to lead off by saying a congratulations to counselor and student, now graduate, Jacob Favalise on graduating from Keene State College this past weekend, and in addition, having received the Leo F. Redfern Citizenship Award for the class of 2025. Congratulations, Jacob. And I'd also like to recognize council birthdays. It is Mitch Greenwald's birthday on May 18th. Mitch, unfortunately, Leo Redfern was the president of Keene State when you graduated, so you did not receive the Redfern Award.
He was the best president, very inspirational.
And clearly, you are here.
As long as you're making proclamations, I'll take a little time. I want to thank you for the little gift and point out to my wife who is here.
Can you turn on your microphone, please?
Turn on my microphone. Rewind. Thank you for the bag of coffee. It will be most appreciated tomorrow morning.
Excellent, excellent. And in the birth category, also want to recognize Ed Haas on the birth of his first grandchild, Ray, born May 17th, 2025. All right, so you may notice that next to me is our Deputy City Manager, Rebecca Landry. Our city manager is at a conference over the last couple days, so we are ably assisted this evening by Rebecca. You may recall at the last council meeting, we had a burn notice that it was so dry you couldn't. Yes, so the last 14 days have definitely resolved that, and so scratch that notice. All right. At the last council meeting, we had a proclamation on Kids to Parks Day. That is this Saturday, May 17th. It is from 12:30 to 3 at Russell Park, and it is for the whole family. The entertainment includes a DJ, face painting, Kona Ice, and I'm going to have to stop by to see a blown-up soccer arena. Really? At Russell Park, and a skate park. Maybe we'll see you there. A reminder that the second annual Keene Runway 5K will be this Sunday, May 18th at 9 a.m. at the Keene Airport. I want to thank David Hickling. I was going to say, there was a basketball coach close to that name. David Hickling, the airport director, for his participation in planning of this event. There will be an exhibit at the airport of the history of the airport and some other noteworthy things about our airport, its hangars, its flights. And in addition, to support the senior center event, there will be food trucks and a raffle to benefit the senior center. So that's Sunday, May 18th, 9 a.m. And if you want to participate, go to a sign up at runsignup.com. And if you just want to go and have some fun, I'll see you there. And our Memorial Day celebration is going to be will be on May 26th. City councilors, if you intend to be part of the procession down to the Recreation Center, please come at 9:45. I think in the past, as a state legislator, I went to it. So, Nick, you want some FaceTime? Come on down and bring some of your legislative friends. But 9:45 at the Transportation Center, and we'll take off at around 10. And then the Recreation Center commemorative event is scheduled for 9. It could begin early, so if you don't do the parade or the march down, then arrive at the rec center early, like at 10:45, because the event may begin when the procession concludes. And then finally, a reminder of the council's summer schedule. There will be no city council meeting July 3rd. That is being canceled for our Independence Eve and to facilitate your travel arrangements if you have them. The rest of July's meetings will be held as usual. We will be canceling the August 7th city council meeting and the August 13th and 14th committee meetings of PLD and Finance, Operations, and Personnel. The council will resume its regular schedule on August 21st. And that concludes the summer schedule and my announcements for the evening. At this point, I'd like to ask Chuck Redfern to come forward as our community recognition for the evening. Chuck?
Thank you, Mayor.
For the minute taker, Chuck Redfern, 9 Colby Street,
And
Keene, New Hampshire.
I can assure you, Chuck, that at the conclusion of this, there will be a presentation. But there are some others here who have put their time and effort into this event tonight, so I'd like to turn this over to the prime sponsor of House Bill 250. 745, Phil Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This was certainly a process that we went through. It was a fun process because we were doing it for a fun guy. Went through both the New Hampshire House and the Senate. I want to thank John Hayes is here. John testified at both the House and the Senate committees. Councilor Ed Haas was also up at the House to testify, and I thank you for coming. I thank all the people that put in written support, including you, Mr. Mayor, and our city manager, who also did. I have here, this is my introduction speech. I'm going to make you all very happy. I'm just reading the last paragraph. The first part all talks about the bridge and everything else, and we know the bridge already. So I'm just going to start with the last paragraph. Keene has a very extensive, very popular, and very well-planned alternative use trail system. When it comes to discussion about the planning and developing of the Keene, New Hampshire trail system, Charles Redfern is the Mr. Everything. 30 years ago, Charles Redfern had a vision for a trail system using mostly former rail beds. At that time, the city fathers said, "Show me the money." Charles did just that. He was a founding and charter member of a nonprofit organization which he called Pathways for Keene. This organization's sole purpose was to raise money to pay for the development and maintenance of the entire city's alternative use trail network. Thanks to Pathways for Keene, mostly through the dedicated, tedious work of Charles Redfern, millions of dollars were raised via private donations to fund this well-planned, extensive trail system. Without the vision, the tenacity, and the dedicated efforts of Charles Redfern, there would be no alternative use trail system in Keene. So we thank you very much, Mr. Redfern. And when we're done, I'll give this to you.
Okay.
And Mr. Mayor, we're going to introduce the president of Pathways for Keene, Janelle Santoro.
Welcome back, Janelle.
Thank you, thank you. Hi, I'm Janelle Sartorio. I'm the president of Pathways for Keene. I wrote a letter in support of HB 745, and I as well was just going to read my last paragraph too. So I'm sure I echo many Keene voices with my personal connection to the trails. I grew up on the trails as an adult, and I still use them to commute to work and for recreation. All of us at Pathways commonly hear sentiments from the community about the love for the trails and the increase of their quality of life the trails provide. We all have Mr. Redfern to thank for this, whether we know it or not. Naming the bridge after him is a well-deserved and fitting acknowledgement of his efforts. Hopefully it will also serve as a reminder to others that there was a lot of hard work involved in establishing and maintaining the things we take for granted. So thank you, Chuck, for all of your guidance over these years.
Thank you, President.
And my co-sponsor for this bill, Representative Nick Germana.
Thank you very much. I'm Nick Germana, State Rep for Cheshire 15, which includes wards 1 and 3 through 5 in Keene. I want to thank, first of all, Councilor Jones, Representative Jones, for this great idea and for reaching out to myself and also to Senator Fenton to ask us to be co-sponsors. I really appreciate it. I can't think of a more fitting way to honor Chuck than to have a bridge named after him, all the work that he has done in this city with Pathways for Keene. He is someone who has genuinely provided connections in this community, right? I mean, geographically, but also among the people. So as I said, there isn't a more fitting tribute to Chuck than that. Also, I'm very happy to say Chuck is my neighbor. And also to say that, he's continuing to do incredible work. Just the other night, we were talking at the Keene East Side neighborhood meeting about the difficulties we're facing. We're going to be losing a lot of federal funding. We're going to be in a tough spot in terms of state funding when it comes to infrastructure. And he is as dedicated as ever to making sure that this community gets the infrastructure it deserves. So thank you, Phil, for including me, and congratulations, Chuck. Well deserved.
Thanks, Nick.
Extra hand?
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. So, Chuck, I welcome the opportunity to write a letter of endorsement for House Bill 745, as it says on the on the letter. And Chuck, I know that you grew up at the President's house at Keene State. you knew very well the history of Keene and its rail system.
Yeah, I grew up in a state home.
Does he use that line all the time? Yeah.
Just started recently.
And you had that vision when you came back to Keene, that those abandoned rails could be turned into trails. And it was your passion that started the Pathways for Keene organization in 1994. We celebrated last year the 30th anniversary of Pathways for Keene. The funds that you've raised over that period of time and the advocacy that you have provided to the impetus to the rail system around Keene. It is now as vital to the ecotourism as the rail system was to Keene Center 150 years ago. So that vision, your passion, and your persistence to see things through, I know it has not just benefited Keene, but you have also served on the New Hampshire Rail Trails Coalition, been its president, and been a statewide leader for rail trails throughout New Hampshire.
I don't know how you know all this, but
Well,
yeah.
Put the pieces together.
Wow.
But it's that persistence and commitment to rails, trails that has made you such an important figure for Keene. So in light of that, this is going to be the longest lead up to a dedication.
Okay.
But on behalf of the city, I want to recognize the Charles Redfern Bridge naming and the work of our state House representatives and the New Hampshire Senate, and to present you with our endorsement from the city for the signing and naming of the Ashwillet River Bridge in the name of Charles Redfern.
Cheryl, could you come up here for a minute, hold some of this stuff for me?
I'll be glad to.
Okay, never mind. My wife's here, former city councilor Cheryl Redford.
Let you have the mic for a minute.
Thank you. Where's the hook?
Yeah, it's coming.
Okay. Well, first, I've got to thank the counselors, the initial counselors that did challenge us. They said, you came forward and you just said, like a lot of nonprofits do, or a lot of groups do, they have great ideas for the city. They want to do something positive. But show me the money sometime. Show something. Put something into it. Whether it's sweat and tears or whether it's money, because not everybody, you know, some of these businesses get asked a lot, you know, don't they? Every day. That's what Ted McGreer says. So, you know, you gotta have some flesh in the game. And when we started to do that, when we realized that had to be done, it was because of John Summers when I went to his store and asked for a donation. Well, actually, it was a petition to put some gentle pressure on the city council then at that time. And the council, John Summers, most of you probably know him, was a businessman in town. He had Summers Backcountry, which was a sporting goods store. And he said to me, you know, you could get 50,000 signatures on that petition, and that's not going to get you a nickel. He said, what you've got to do is form a nonprofit and go out there and help raise some of the money, challenge the city to match what you come up with, or you come up with what they come up with. Try your best. Just try your best. And, of course, we had federal funding, you know, which was very significant. But the city turned away paying 20% to get that 80%. So we came up and said, we challenge you by 10%. So John said that form a nonprofit and I'll join you, I'll help you. That's what John Summers did. He helped do a lot of things for this community. And so the other thing was, that bridge could have 100 names on it. Literally 100 names, because it's kept Pathways alive for 30 years, 31 years, to have the talent move through that was there. And we couldn't have done it without the support of the councils over the years. They all helped out. They all gave suggestions, offered ideas, and when it came time to voting, they were there for us. Most cases, I think it was unanimous. And Kendall Lane, obviously, he's also now on our group, on the board. So we've got some great knowledge there to help us out. And city staff, can't say enough good things about Public Works. Andy Bohannon, when he was at Parks and Rec, he was a big supporter of the trails. He was a major influence in the trails. Don Lucier, if we have questions from donors and they want answers that are technical, that are beyond the scope of a fundraising organization, we go to Don or we go to Brian and get answers. But Don is passionate about what he does for the trail system. And also we've had the support of the city manager with the guidance of the council. Just the business community. And I can't say enough good things about everybody. Janelle has been our best president. I mean, I'm sorry, but she has. She helped us raise $100,000, one donor, $100,000. And it was her and Public Works. Don showed up to the presentation. He had the facts that the donor wanted to know that was beyond our capacity. And next thing we know, within a couple weeks, we got a check for 40, and before the end of this month, we're going to get a check for 60. So again, the city helps out in so many ways. I just can't thank you all enough. Council, staff, leadership, our folks here. I could go on beyond 5 minutes. I could go on, but
Thank you.
I'm not going to.
Thank you, Chuck. Bill's not done yet.
Yeah,
He'll be soon.
I was a bit remiss when I did write the bill. Every bridge, it doesn't do anything if it doesn't have a great support system. And as part of the bill, I should have named the support system the Cheryl Redfern support system, because she is truly a supporter. And thank you, Cheryl, for all you do. When I first told Chuck that we were naming some bridge work after him, he thought I was going to the dentist. But I do want to answer this. There's a question. I know everybody has a question on their mind tonight. Everybody's asking, what kind of vegetation is going to go near this bridge, right? Isn't that what you were all thinking? Well, I want to show you something. What we plan to do, this is, it's called the Forever Red Heuchera, which we intend to plant near the bridge with the state's approval. It's a perennial plant. It grows great in our climate zone. It attracts pollinators. And most important, it's commonly referred to by growers as the red fern. So we plan on putting one on each side as you come to the entrance of the bridge. We'll put up a red fern on each side. We'll call one Chuck. We'll call one Cheryl. They will be there. They will be there to greet you. And it also means that the red ferns will forever be together. Thank you.
Phil, you are. You really are.
All right, thank you for being here and for all
Thank
your
you,
advocacy.
Mayor.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I can hand that to Cheryl.
Okay, why don't you hand it, Cheryl? I'm just gonna make a quick round of handshakes.
Congrats, thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
very much, Rebecca.
I have some more pictures of the bridge to share with you.
Oh, you do?
I will.
Cool.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Good job, man. Well deserved.
Thank you.
It's on your note. I like it when you ask questions. We missed one thing at the beginning. We still need to do that.
Oh, yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Another supporter.
Counselor Jones.
If I'm right, I believe we didn't do the minutes of the last meeting.
It is exactly what is coming up next.
Okay.
But Phil, thank you for your advocacy and bringing the coalition together that could testify and provide the legislature motivation to follow through with your intent. It's great. And we'll look forward to the governor's signature and that event that can follow from this act being signed into law. Okay, I'd like to recognize Counselor Greenwald for a motion.
Chuck supersedes the minutes. Anyhow, so I move to adopt the minutes of the May 1, 2025 meeting as presented.
Can you turn on your microphone, please?
Oh, come on. Move to adopt the minutes of the May 1, 2025 meeting as presented.
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Powers. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries. We now are a body of 12, and that's 12-0. Okay, I'd like to move to our public hearing, and would the clerk please notice us?
Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held before the Keene City Council relative to an application for community revitalization tax relief under RSA 79E42, submitted on behalf of 34 Court Street LLC for property located at 34 Court Street. The purpose of the public hearing is to determine whether the structure at issue is a qualifying structure, whether any proposed rehabilitation qualifies as substantial rehabilitation, and whether there is a public benefit to granting the requested tax relief, and if so, for what duration. 34 Court LLC is requesting the City Council consider sufficient relief that would allow for the redevelopment of the second floor of a historic building into an indoor beer garden. Copies of the application and background information are available during regular business hours at the office of the City Clerk. Per order of the Mayor and Councilors, this first day of May 2025.
Thank you, Terry. I'd like to ask Dan Langell, our city assessor, to come forward and just to lay out the guidance around 79E and the Community Revitalization Tax Relief Act, and just remind the public and the council at our May 1st meeting, when we set the agenda for this meeting, the public hearing, we did receive the application along with the statute, the city's resolution on 79E, and the applicant's documentation. So, but Dan, if you would lead forward.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council, members of the public. Dan Langell, City Assessor. With me, I
Can you turn on your microphone, please?
Good evening, Dan Langell, City Assessor. With me is Zach Luce, the applicant and the owner of 34 Court Street LLC. So I'm just going to provide a brief background, Mayor, as you requested, and then I'm going to turn it over to Zach to outline his project and his proposal. So RSA 79E is an enabling law that the Keene City Council adopted back in 2017. It's a program that encourages investment, rehabilitation, and the use of underutilized buildings in a downtown area. It accomplishes this by providing temporary tax relief to the owner based on the improvements made to the property. So a simple example of this is if you have a property that's worth $500,000, the owner proposes $300,000 worth of investment, the tax relief is on that $300,000 improvement. The $500,000 building in its original state continues to be assessed going forward. There is a certain amount of time, which can be up to 5 years, which is determined by the governing body, which would be the City Council. To be eligible for this program, the project must be in a designated downtown area, otherwise known as the 79E district. This property is. And it must have a minimum cost of $75,000 associated with it. More importantly, is this project must have a public benefit. In Resolution R 2018-33, which the council has at their desk, it does outline some of these benefits, which include it must enhance the economic vitality of downtown areas, improve a culturally or historically important structure, promote the preservation and reuse of existing building stock. The project must promote efficient design, safety, and a greater sense of community consistent with the master plan. And it could create at least one new full-time job, directly integrate public art, or the project achieve nationally recognized green public standard. Now, a project doesn't have to meet all these requirements, but to the extent that it does meet them, could determine how long that the tax relief is given. As far as next steps goes, after this public hearing, this project will be referred to the Finance Organization Personnel Committee, they will review it in depth, and they will provide their recommendation, both whether to approve the relief or not, and to the duration of it. With that, I'll turn over to Zach.
Good evening, Mayor Khan and members of the City Council. My name's Zach Luce. I'm the founder and CEO of Paragon Digital Marketing, headquartered just a few blocks from here. I'm also the proud owner of the former Grace Methodist Church at 34 Court Street. This beautiful building is a vital part of downtown Keene and Keene's historic district, and the last of 3 churches that once stood at the end of Court Street. With the support of 79E, we were able to breathe new life into the first floor, turning it into the home of Paragon, providing high-quality local jobs, running on 100% solar power, and contributing to Keene's local economy and sustainability goals. As the first recipient of 79E tax relief in Keene 5 years ago, I can truly say 79E does what it's supposed to. It helped me invest in my building, my community, and make my project a success. This year, that property tax relief expires, so the improvements will increase the assessed value of the building and the increased tax revenue for the property. That may well have been demolished at a great loss to our community of a historical building and the future tax revenue that it provides. Today, I'm here to ask you for support once again as we propose the next chapter of 34 Court Street. We plan to transform the second floor sanctuary, which has sat unused for about 15 years, into Plotz Beer Garden, a family-friendly indoor gathering space inspired by traditional German beer festivals and a community gathering spaces around the world. Plotz will offer extensive selection of local and international beer and wine, non-alcoholic drinks, food, and a welcoming atmosphere where friends and family can gather under soaring cathedral ceilings and stained glass. We'll also feature beer from our sister city, Einbeck, Germany. This project will create new jobs, and even more importantly, it will once again turn this historic space into a lively community gathering place. We will support local events and festivals, nonprofits, as well as artists and musicians. We're committed to sustainability as well. Just as we did on the first floor, we'll be replacing the oil-fired heating system with high-efficiency air source heat pumps, upgrading insulation, air sealing the building, and using LED lighting, dramatically reducing the building's carbon footprint and supporting Keene's goal of 100% renewable energy by 2030. We also aim to compost or recycle nearly all of our waste. Throughout the renovations, we're being very thoughtful about preserving the church's unique architectural features. We'll continue restoring the stained glass, the original woodwork, and historic finishes, honoring the past while building for the future. That's why I respectfully request your support for the maximum 5-year tax relief under RSA 79E. This will allow us to invest more deeply in preservation, sustainability, job creation, and creating amazing gathering space in our community. Thank you for your time and your support as I embark on this exciting project. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. And we'll open the floor initially to counselors. Are there any questions for Mr. Langell or the petitioner? And seeing none, just remind us that this will be referred to Finance, Organization, and Personnel Committee at their next meeting. So there's still opportunities for counselors to participate in that kind of conversation. Is there anybody in the public in attendance this evening that would like to offer comments on this request? Seeing, I'm sorry? Seeing no further comments? Going once, twice? Okay, no further comments. I will close the public hearing and remind the public that there is still an opportunity to accept written comments in the clerk's office by next Tuesday, which is May 20th, by 1 p.m. But at this point, we will close the public hearing. Thank you very much for your participation this evening. Appreciate it. Okay, we will move on to nominations.
We have nominations to the Heritage Commission and the Human Rights Commission committee from the mayor, and they include to the Heritage Commission Acacia Johnston to fill slot 2 with a term to expire December 31, 2027. That would be a full membership. And then to the Human Rights Committee, Julie Odato, who will be filling an alternate position with a term to expire December 31, 2026.
And these nominations will be tabled until our next regular meeting, June 5th. Moving on to communications.
And our first communication is from Frederick McMillan, and this is a proposal for the installation of a sculpture at the Patricia Russell Park, and this would be in conjunction with the Friends of Public Art.
And we'll refer this letter to Municipal Services, Facilities, and Infrastructure, which is meeting later in May.
And next we have a communication from Alan Stroshine on behalf of the Keene Elm City Rotary Club, and this is their annual request to use city property for the Clarence DeMar Marathon on September 28th, 2025.
And we'll refer this request to Planning, Licenses, and Development Committee for their June meeting.
And next we have a communication from Alyssa Arroyo from Timken Aerospace, and this is a request for the installation of a crosswalk on Tiffin Street.
And we'll refer this request to Municipal Services, Facilities, and Infrastructure Committee for their meeting later in May. We'll move now on to reports of council committees. Yes, if there are no, we'll consolidate these three motions together. If there's no objection from folks, the clerk will read these.
Sure, so we have 3 licensing recommendations coming out of PLD. The first is for the Keene Swamp Bats, and it's a request to discharge fireworks on July 25th, 2025. And on a vote of 4-0, the Planning, Licenses, and Development Committee recommends that the Keene Swamp Bats be granted permission for the discharge of display fireworks on Friday, July 25th, 2025, on Alumni Field at no later than 10 p.m., and reserving a rain date to be determined in conjunction with city staff in the event of inclement weather. Said permission is subject to the following conditions. the signing of a revocable license and indemnification agreement, that the Swamp Bats provide a certificate of liability insurance with the City of Keene listed as additional insured in the amount of $1 million, that the fireworks vendor also provide a certificate of liability insurance with the city listed as additional insured in the amount of $1 million, submittal of a signed letter of permission from SAU 29 for use of their property, and obtainment of a state fireworks permit. In addition, the petitioner agrees to comply with any recommendations of city staff, and the petitioner agrees to absorb the cost of any city services provided, with said payment being made within 30 days of the date of invoicing. And our second report is very similar. It is a request from Jim Capo, and it is to discharge fireworks for a First Responder Appreciation Community Day on August 24th, 2025. And on a vote of 4-0, the Planning, Licenses, and Development Committee recommends that Jim Capo and Jimmy Tempesta for the First Responder Appreciation Community Day be granted permission for the discharge of display fireworks on Sunday, August 24th, 2025, on Alumni Field at no later than 10 p.m. Said permission is subject to the following conditions: the signing of a revocable license and indemnification agreement, that Jim Capo and Jimmy Tempesta, for the First Responder Appreciation Community Day, provide a certificate of liability insurance with the City of Keene listed as additional insured in the amount of $1 million, that the fireworks vendor also provide a certificate of liability insurance with the city listed as additional insured in the amount of $1 million, that submittal of a signed letter of permission from SAU 29 for use of their property, and obtainment of a state fireworks permit. In addition, the petitioner agrees to comply with any recommendations of staff. The petitioner agrees to absorb the cost of any city services provided, with said payment being made within 30 days of invoicing. And finally, we have a request from the Keene YMCA, and they're requesting the closure of Summit Road on June 8th, 2025 for a youth triathlon. And on a vote of 4-0, the Planning, Licenses, and Development Committee recommends that the City Council grant permission to the Keene Family YMCA to sponsor a youth triathlon on Sunday, June 8th from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m., including the closure of Summit Road just after the YMCA entrance and Summit Ridge Drive where it intersects with Summit Road, subject to the following conditions: the signing of a revocable license and indemnification agreement, and the submittal of a certificate of liability insurance in the amount of $1 million listing the City of Keene as additional insured. This license is conditional upon the petitioners providing an adequate number of volunteer race marshals to ensure runner safety along the course, providing advance notice of the race to impacted residents, and subject to any recommendations of city staff. The petitioner agrees to absorb the cost of any city services provided, and said payment shall be made within 30 days of the date of invoicing.
I'd like to recognize Counselor Jones for a motion.
I move the intent of the committee reports.
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Madison. Any comments from the council? Seeing none, these are routine requests and recurring requests. This is a roll call vote. All those in favor?
No.
Show of hands. Never mind.
Hands.
No, that's right. That's what I meant to say.
Yes.
It just comes out. All those in favor of the motion, the intent of the committee report. Motion carries unanimously. And I'd just like to recognize that Mr. Capo is here tonight. Thank you for all that you do to appreciate our first responders in the community. Much appreciated. Pass it on to Mr. Tempesta.
I thank each and every one of you for your support. It means a lot.
Thank you. Moving on to one other committee report.
We have a further PLD committee report, and on a vote of, this is about the lease of airport property by Avenue Development, and on a vote of 4-0, the Planning, Licenses, and Development Committee recommends the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to execute a land lease at the DeLaunt Hopkins Airport to Avenue Development for the construction of an airport hangar.
I'd like to recognize Counselor Jones for the motion.
I move the intent of the committee report.
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Filio. Counselor Jones for the committee.
Mayor, this is a great bonus for the city and for the airport. It's a 10,000 square foot new hangar going in. More important, it's a lot more revenue coming into the airport. There's going to be a number of planes, when they register through the state, there's money that goes to the home-based community, which we will benefit from. So this is a win-win situation. We look forward to this happening.
Thank you. Any further comments from the council? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And one more.
And
Committee
this,
report.
yes, and we have a Finance, Organization, and Personnel Committee report regarding the donation of real property located at Damon Court. And on a vote of 3-0, the Finance, Organization, and Personnel Committee recommends the acceptance of Lot 45 on Damon Court as a donation to the City of Keene.
Councilor Powers for a motion.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Remy. Councilor Powers for the committee.
Thank you, Your Honor. Pamela Beeman from Monadnock Center for Violence Prevention came before us to discuss this offer to the city. And the whole project was reviewed by the Public Works Department and some city staff before it came to us, because normally we don't accept properties that aren't contiguous to things we're doing. It's a little extraordinary. However, we're more than happy to have her come forward and tell us about the position they're in. They became the owners of the property, not totally clear to everyone, but they have now the property there. And there's a photo swinging around somewhere, and I know it's on the website, to show it's just a sliver of land on the corner of Damon Court and Beaver Street. And the reason that they have less and less interest in it is there's a drainage pipe that comes to the river tributary that comes down through there that's falling apart. It's been there for years, and this is what happens with anything that have to do with water. There's some maintenance involved. And normally we would not be interested in something where it brings maintenance. I think somebody tried to get us to take a dam on Arch Street. So, at any rate, the Beaver Street Bridge needs to be repaired very, very soon. And this is really adjacent to it. We were gonna have to take some easements and do some work, so it seemed a reasonable process to accept. And the committee agreed. So there were 3 of us the other night, so 3 members unanimously recommend to the city council that we do accept this property from MCVP. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Haas.
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. I'd just like to add that this bridge and a lot of the other bridges that cross Beaver Brook are all subject to these kind of examinations where they could be in jeopardy, either from failure of the embankment adjacent to the bridge or from upstream obstructions that may come down in a flood. This one's a particularly tough one. I was glad to hear that it was on the critical list from the state for bridges, and it would be a property that we would probably end up acquiring anyhow in order to do repairs to the bridge. So it's a good thing that we get ahead of it this way. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Madison and then Councilor Williams.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yeah, I just want to offer my kind of expertise on this one. I went and took a look at this property on my own, and seeing the damage to the retaining wall, if we don't end up taking the property, my guess is that because part of the retaining wall is already collapsed into Beaver Brook, as Beaver Brook has these flash flood events where maybe it's not a big flash flood, but it still is rising in its banks, it's going to start eating away at the bank behind that retaining wall, almost like how a cavity in your tooth grows. It's just going to grow and spread. The problem is that then you've got the road not far away, so it runs the risk of undermining the road and impacting the underlying utilities, and as well as the footings for the bridge. So I think it's pretty imperative that we do acquire the property and we do what is necessary to shore up the bank there. Otherwise, we're going to have more expensive problems.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor Madison, a geologist for the state. Thank you. Councilor Williams.
Well, I'm all for the city accepting waterfront property in my ward. It is a very small patch, and I don't know if there's a whole lot we can do with it, but I hope we do something constructive that contributes to the community. A garden, a pollinator garden, a bench, something. Across Beaver Street from that, there's another property that's city-owned that's just kind of been abandoned for years, and it's big, but it's on the floodplain, so it doesn't get used very much. I'd love to figure out how can we, tie these two properties together and just get some better value out of it.
Planting a seed, so to speak. Thank you. Any further conversation? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All those in favor of the committee recommendation? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We will move on, yes, to city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Would like to start by just saying that the budget review process is ongoing. It's been going very well. We do have one more special FOP meeting next week where we'll hear from the airport, the library, the fire department, the police department, Parks and Recreation, and facilities. That will be on Tuesday. And then we'll proceed with the regularly scheduled FOP meetings. So thanks to everyone who's participating in that process. I have a couple of updates to share with you tonight. There is going to be a live burn event, which is a training event. So I'll read to you an update from our fire chief. The New Hampshire Fire Academy is planning a live forestry burn at Station 2 on May 31st. They will be outside utilizing small fires for training students who are in a Firefighter 1 class. The Academy has completed the authorization form and the required permitting process. They will be passing out flyers to neighbors ahead of time. We will post social media and webpage alerts about possible smoke or odors in the surrounding area. The Academy has held this class before at Station 2 with no issues. So that's coming at the end of this month. And we're very grateful for the training opportunity. Also, you may be very excited to learn from our Public Works Department that the samples of colored or textured concrete that are being proposed for the downtown were completed today. We still need to seal and clean up the area around the slab, but the Public Works Director is inviting you all to come to check it out. You can come to the Public Works Week Barbecue on May 22nd at noon. However, please do not get any barbecue stains on the new concrete. And that is an invitation for counselors to come and see that. So unfortunately, we had a water main break on Lower Winchester Street today, and you have a notice on your desks that have some detailed information. Around 10 o'clock, Public Works was notified of a water main break on Winchester south of the roundabout. The Public Works crew was able to quickly isolate the broken main. In order to make the repairs in this specific location, approximately 200 customers on Winchester Street and the adjacent side streets were taken out of service. Pressure was restored at approximately 3:15 this afternoon. However, due to changes in elevation along the length of the pipes, groundwater and possibly bacteria could be pulled into the distribution pipes. So out of an abundance of caution, the Public Works Department has issued a precautionary boil water notice just to the affected customers. And the North Swansea Water and Fire Precinct has also notified their customers. Public Works staff has already collected water samples from several locations in the area, and those samples will be tested tonight. We expect to have results tomorrow afternoon. The precautionary boil water notice does not affect other customers, only customers on Winchester Street south of Route 101 and the adjacent side streets. Any questions, please call Public Works 352-6550 or email pwinfo@keenanh.gov. I think that's all I have tonight.
Thank you, Rebecca. And yes,
I missed one thing.
Councilor Greenwald.
Tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, the Public Works Director, City Manager, myself, and Councilor Haas are going to do a time race trial. See what is a safe bicycle speed, planning for the bike lane on the sidewalk in our rebuilt Main Street. 8 o'clock, it begins at the Works. It'll be very interesting. I have an electric bike, I've got the speedometer. I know that the safest speed is very little, but we'll do a time trial. Council Williams, if you want to join us, you're a kind of professional biker. So, 8 o'clock.
My bike is in my car.
Oh, you too?
Yeah.
Oh.
Counselor Remy,
Am I allowed to be an obstacle? Can I try to?
a pedestrian?
You could be the pedestrian that gets run over.
Counselor Favelis?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last time that we talked about this time trial speedometer, we were promised there would be video taken of the event. Is that still the intent?
Channel 9 will be there.
Okay, enough fun on this one. Thank you. And moving on to boards and commissions, we have a resignation. Would you, sorry, we've got Counselor Powers with donations to the city. Counselor Powers for a motion?
Would you like me to read it into the record?
Please do.
Sure. So we have a community memorandum from the finance director treasurer, and this relates to the acceptance of donations received over the last month or so. This recommends that the donations be accepted and used in the donor specified manner specified by the donor.
Counselor Powers for a motion.
Thank you, Your Honor. Move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Second.
Thank you. Seconded by Counselor Remy. Counselor Powers.
This month we received 3 donations. The first from the Keene Elks Lodge BPOE 927, $250 to offset the construction costs associated with the ADA ramp at the Recreation Center. The second is to the Human Rights Committee, who's hosting an event in June, and this comes from Benson Wood for $200 to offset the cost of providing this event, all-day event on, again, June 12th. And the Keene Rotary Club has donated $2,425 for additional funding rail trail wayfinding project, the signs that are coming together for this summer along the trail. This project was long coming because of all the various elements that had to come together, and the price of the job went up, so the original donation of $30,000 didn't cover it. So, as usual, the people in the community, Rotary Club here, came up with $2,425 to make it happen. So I recommend that we accept all of these. Thank you.
No other comments from councilors? All those in favor of accepting donations? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Now we can move on to other nominations or resignations.
Yes, and we have a memorandum from the finance director, and this is submitting the emailed resignation of Malcolm Katz, who was serving on the trustees of trust funds and cemetery trustees committee, and the recommendation is to accept the resignation of Malcolm Katz as a regular member of the trustees of trust funds and cemetery trustees with gratitude for his service.
I recognize Councilor Greenwald for a motion.
Thank you. Move to accept the resignation and express appreciation for his service.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Powers. And just to fill in a little bit of that story, when Mr. Katz accepted the nomination, he didn't realize the conflict that he had with a standing Wednesday meeting, which is the same date as when the trusts and trustees of the cemetery meet. So that just became, he's taking himself out of that conflict and allowing us to make a further nomination of it. So, all those in favor of accepting the resignation, please signify by raising your hand. And that motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We have a report that we, relative to the operating budget for 25-26, and while that was read initially, that is on more time until we conclude the budget hearings and the public hearing that is scheduled for June 5th. So more time is granted for that resolution. And we have a first readings.
We do. We have ordinances for first reading, and the first that we have is from our Human Resources Director. And this is ordinance O 2025-18 relating to class allocation and salary schedules. And we have ordinance O 2025-18 relating to class allocation and salary schedule.
And we'll refer that to Finance, Organization, and Personnel's next committee.
And we have a further ordinance for first reading, and this one is from our city attorney, and it relates to the discharge of fireworks. And it is ordinance O 2025-19. And we have ordinance O 2025-19, an ordinance relating to the discharge of fireworks.
And that'll be referred to Planning, Licenses, and Development Committee, its June meeting.
And next, we have two ordinances coming from the Planning Department. The first is ordinance O 2025-20 relating to setbacks and build-to dimensions, and this is an amendment to the LDC Technical Code.
And we'll refer this to the Joint Planning and PLD Committee meeting, their meeting in June. And we'll move on to the next item.
And the second ordinance coming out of Community Development is ordinance O 2025-21. This is an ordinance relating to definitions for accessory structure setbacks and build-to dimensions, which would amend the administrative code of the LDC.
And this item will be referred to the Planning, Licenses, and Development Committee and placed on more time so that it can be considered along with the preceding item. They are related and need to move forward in a timeline that makes sense. So then this item 25-21 will be referred to Planning, Licenses, and Development, placed on more time. Moving on to ordinances for a second reading.
So we have a Planning, Licenses, and Development Committee report relating to water and sewer utility charges, ordinance O 2025-16. And on a vote of 3-0, the Finance, Organization, and Personnel Committee recommends the adoption of ordinance O 2025-16 with an effective date of July 1, 2025. And we have ordinance O 2025-16, an ordinance relating to water and sewer utility charges.
I'd like to recognize Councilor Powers for a motion.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Remy. Councilor Powers.
This begins a process that we've kind of worked towards over the last couple of years, is to get the setting of the water and sewer rates at about the same time the budget is passed and becomes effective. The timing is always a little bit of difficulty because, as you know, we read meters on a quarterly basis, so we have different start times for the rates. And it's been difficult for others to plan ahead when they don't know what the water rate is going to be. Traditionally, we have waited until the budget passes. Well, the work has been done, a lot of hard work by the Finance Department to try to get us to a point where we can make this recommendation consistent with the budget process. So that has happened. This will be the first year that we're going to adopt the rates about the same time as the budget. What's the increase recommended this year? It's about 5% across the board for water and sewer. As we know, the cost of doing business just continues to escalate. And were we to try and recoup all the cost increases in the first year would be too much of a reasonable rate increase. So the plan here is to try to do it incrementally over the next 3 years, and it's around a 5% amount to the rate. There's some other minor changes that have been made, and this was done to be consistent with the City Council's goal, is to have our charges kind of reflect the cost of doing business. You know, so if it takes an hour and a half of one person and a backhoe or something like that, it ought to be reasonably priced around that. So some of the changes, the deletions and changes you see are centered around that. So something that maybe it was $4.98 in the past, it's come up with a $7 rate. Certain items that don't happen all that often, but still need to be done, a flat fee. All minor numbers in terms of what the increases are. There's a significant number of changes, but they really make sense when you're trying to build a program that's easy for people to understand. Just another quick example is engineering and inspection fees. There's $58 an hour. You know, trying to make sure that that covers our costs, what we put into it in personnel and equipment. So unanimously passed by FOP. I hope you do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any comments from counselors? Questions? Seeing none, we'll go to a roll call.
Counselor Tobin?
Yes.
Counselor Remy?
Yes.
Counselor Filio?
Yes.
Counselor Williams?
Yes.
Counselor Haas?
Yes.
Counselor Jones?
Yes.
Counselor Madison?
Yes.
Counselor Favelise?
Yes.
Counselor Lake?
Yes.
Counselor Workman?
Yes.
Counselor Powers?
Yes.
Counselor Greenwald?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We'll move on to first reading of the resolutions.
Yes, and we have a memorandum from the Finance Director Treasurer relating to the appropriation of funds for the FY 2025-2026 bond issues. And with this, we have the following bond resolutions. R 2025-13, relating to the appropriation of funds for the fire apparatus replacement program. R 2025-14, relating to the Lower Winchester Street reconstruction project. R 2025-15, roadway preservation and rehabilitation program. R 2025-16, stormwater resiliency program. R 2025-17, the T-Hanger apron maintenance project. R 2025-18, sewer improvements program. R 2025-19, 3MG water tank repairs. R 2025-20, the Water Fund Water Distribution Improvements Program, and R 2025-21, the Water Fund Well Field Upgrade Program.
And we'll refer this resolution to the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee.
And we have a further resolution. This is from the city engineer, and it is relating to Resolution R 2025-22. This is a resolution relating to the appropriation of funds for the Beaver Street Bridge and Spring Street Bridge load rating study.
This too will be referred to Finance Organization and Personnel Committee.
And we have a further memorandum from the city engineer, and this relates to R 2025-23. And this is a resolution relating to the appropriation of funds for the transfer station paving project.
This too will be referred to Finance Organization and Personnel Committee. And we have one final resolution.
And our final resolution is accompanied by a memo from the Human Resources Director, and this is Resolution R 2025-24, a resolution in appreciation of Patricia A. Little upon her retirement.
I'd like to recognize Counselor Powers for a motion.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move for the adoption of Resolution 2025-24 in appreciation of Patricia A. Little.
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Greenwald. Counselor Powers.
Yeah, usually I have a long list of things that we like to say about our employees, but I don't know if there's anything else that can be said. We've seen Patty many times over the last month or so, and I think we've said it all. And I think all the stories that are fit to be told have been told, and I will let you know that last week at the first meeting of her new committee, she corrected every one of us on what we had to say, and things never change. So the only thing I must say tonight is I'm happy to report that she's properly being a retiree. She showed up for her meeting on time. She's not working on Saturday mornings. She's not taking any work home for Sunday mornings. And she's taking her time in the grocery store. She's not rushing through like she used to. So figure out when she's there if you want to get through fast, because she still can have a good conversation with you. We will see her in a couple weeks to present her with this, I believe.
June 5th.
Please adopt. Thank you.
Any comments from counselors? I just say that I'm very grateful, in addition to all of her service, how she passed along that ethic of Saturday mornings to our
Oh,
current
jeez.
city clerk.
I'm afraid she did.
Yeah, it's been, it's been noticed. Seeing no further comments, although, we need a show of hands.
A show of hands, that's right.
All those in favor of accepting this resolution? The motion carries unanimously. That is the concluding item on our agenda. Seeing no further business, we'll adjourn tonight till our next meeting, June 5th. Thank you.
Good job.
On I-3.
Yeah.
You didn't make 8 o'clock.